Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. Earlier this year, I made a long series of videos on turning your TCG hobbies into a business so that you can enjoy things like buying without sales tax if you're an investor, or getting tax deductions if you're a player, and ways to do that legally. And I wanted to just talk today about a couple of the ways that I do that in my own business and ways that I'm able to benefit from it, ways that you would be able to benefit from it too if you decided to turn your hobby into a real business. And then I wanted to go into some kind of theoretical other things that you could do with this. I don't do them, but not because I fear doing it, but just because it's not currently in the cards for me. So, let's say I wanted to buy a D&D book. Let's say there's just, another D&D rules supplement and I wanted to buy this, but I could feature it in a YouTube video. And if I feature it in a YouTube video, then the IRS thinks that this is supplies. And supplies, the IRS says, are things that generally have no more than about a 12-month useful life. Well, if a new D&D book comes out and part of my channel is reviewing new D&D books, then those books don't really have much more than a 12-month useful life. Now, obviously, books last a long time, especially if they're kept dry. So the useful life of the item is only relative to your business purpose for it. And if you had a YouTube channel and you featured all kinds of interesting things on it, and occasionally semi reviews of stuff not entirely related to your main topics, these could all very reasonably be considered supplies. And what that means for you from a business expense standpoint is your business purchases it and then it writes off the entire cost of that purchase as a business expense in the tax year that it happened. And so it means if you go out on the Amazon and you spend probably $25 buying a new D&D book, well, that's basically a $25 loss for your business. It's $25 of money you had to put into your business in order to produce YouTube videos. And this does not hinge on being monetized on YouTube or not. You use the items to produce the video, and that makes them supplies. And the interesting thing about this is the IRS does not care what you do with the supplies afterwards. In the eyes of the IRS, when you use this in a video, it is now consumed. And if it goes onto your bookshelf, that's fine. If you throw it in a dumpster, that's fine. If you give it away, that's fine. If you just lose it, they don't care. And so the disposition of the item after you've used it for as supplies in a video, yeah, that's it. And what if you did a review on, a giant stack of Beast Quest books that you bought that are great for kids exactly the age as the ones you have? Well, you feature this in a video, it becomes supplies, it's a complete tax write-off against any profits you may have in your business, and then afterwards, you can simply keep it. And, maybe you're into old stuff like this, 94 Flair Ultra X-Men, just absolutely precious to me, but once in a while you see some of these for sale on eBay and you go out and buy them and you make another video about X-Men cards and then they were supplies and they're a complete tax write-off. And likewise, if, Flesh and Blood Blitz decks are your thing, maybe you feature videos about those, and since really the ability of the video to be valuable hinges on its timeliness, then these supplies used in the videos don't really have any usefulness beyond 12 months, which is the very, very, very loose IRS definition of this. And so it's amazing how loose the definition is. But, these are some of the ways that I use this in my business. These are all things that are very tangentially related topics to the kind of stuff we normally talk about. All of us here, at the very least, we probably love Magic. If not Magic, then Flesh and Blood and or Pokemon. We love fantasy gaming. We love fantasy stuff in general. We love the genre and the things. And so these are kind of tangentially related. And every time I feature a video about one of them, I get good feedback from several people basically saying, hey, I'm into that too, even though I mostly tune into Final Trade for TCG investing videos. Now, what if you were a guy and you just wanted to play Magic? but you wanted to turn it into a business. Let's say once in a while you sell some cards, or maybe you're, a casual TCG investor, so you put a couple boxes a month back in a closet. You want to do that sales tax free, obviously, because that significantly lowers your basis cost. And in the long run, you wanted to fold all of this together into a business. What could your business look like? Well, you would register with your Secretary of State, you'd become a real business, you'd get a sales tax certificate, you'd put it on file at TCG Player and eBay and maybe your local game store. And so then at those places, you could buy sales tax free. And let's say Friday nights you like to go play booster draft. Well, maybe you make videos while you're playing. Maybe you just set up a camera and you record your game while you're playing. Well, then that booster draft is a business expense. Those booster packs that you bought for that draft, those are supplies used in making those videos. Likewise, there are a lot of YouTube channels out there that do almost nothing except open boxes. That's the whole channel. Well, they're buying those boxes as supplies. So they write off the entire cost of that box in the year they are purchased, and they make the video about them, and then those cards just disappear off into their personal collections because, again, the IRS doesn't care where the supplies go after they are used for the business purpose. So, you could do a lot of things like that, turning your magic hobby in various ways into tax deductions to go against the money that you make from being a TCG investor, no matter what scale of TCG investment you're interested in, whether you're, one or two boxes a month, or you're dozens of boxes a month, or maybe you're hundreds of boxes a month. You could do these other things to create tax write-offs against the money you make doing the TCG investment portion of your business. And I just want to kind of point out one way that we all see this happening, and I think a lot of people don't realize it. But, Rudy buys a lot of 5-figure collections of Power and other vintage cards, and then he makes videos talking about the purchase of those collections. And because he makes those videos, the purchase of the collection is now supplies. And so let's say Rudy goes and he buys recently he bought a set of Moxes and I think a Black Lotus. And so let's say that, he spent $60,000. Well, that is now a $60,000 tax write-off against the profit he makes in the rest of his business, distributing cards and selling them to his patrons, and against the YouTube ad revenue he makes from his channel, and against the patron revenue that he makes. And so when he buys an old set of Power like that, he gets to write off $30, $50, $80, $100,000 just because he makes a YouTube video about it. And what's funny is that he made a video of a collection that he had bought sometime in about the last year. And during the video, he even said something to the effect of, "I'm making this video for tax purposes. You accountants will know what that means," or something very similar to that. And so, it really confirmed what had long been my suspicion, that the existence of those videos, beyond just more YouTube revenue and growing his audience, was to make them legitimate tax write-offs, because those Power 9 are now supplies, and he consumed them. He talks about the current market conditions and about why he bought them and who he bought them from, and how the market is doing. That makes it timely information that gives it that 12 months or less of usefulness. And then after he's done making the video, he publishes it. The cards go off to his vault and they are his. And the funny part about it, of course, is let's say he bought a particularly juicy collection and it was $100,000, and he posts a video about it that eventually makes $300, $400, $500 of YouTube revenue. The IRS is fine with that. They don't really care. I mean, the IRS has been taken to court and has lost over the idea that it could punish you for being a bad businessman. And so if you spend $100 on Power, $100,000 on vintage Magic cards, in order to make a YouTube video that might at most return $500 in ad revenue, the IRS can't do anything to you about it. Those cards were still supplies consumed in your business. So keep that in mind. I think it's certainly an interesting thing that I try to take advantage of. I try to keep it to things that are reasonably close so that I could defend in an audit and say, yes, this is germane to the rest of my channel, to my audience. I get good feedback on these things. Obviously, if I needed to buy a new engine for a classic car I was restoring, you would not be seeing a review of the engine on Final Trade just so I could claim it as supply. So, general life advice is never do anything that you wouldn't feel confident defending in an audit. And otherwise, you could take advantage of this kind of supply write-off yourself with your own business. So let me know what you guys think. I've been wanting to talk about this again for a while because I think it's an interesting subject, and slowly over time, running a kind of quasi hobby / serious business, I come to notice more of these opportunities to do things like this and not break the rules and not even really bend them. It's following the rules exactly and benefiting from them. So thanks a lot, guys. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and join me on Final Trade.